We all have stories. Stories inspired by culture, competition, creativity. Stories show our humanity. They inspire us to greatness and remind us to be humble. Stories connect us to our communities and the rest of the world. We are the Chutta people, and these are our stories. See and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
It's called Hollywood! Lights, camera, action! Hollywood Brown! CeeDee Lamb still running! Into corner! CeeDee! For the TD!
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
What's up, everybody? Happy January 6th. We've made it. It's another wonderful day in Oklahoma and America. What's up? Welcome to Through the Keyhole. It's an Oklahoma football podcast. Matt, stop smiling.
I'm not doing anything. You started laughing before we started.
I totally forgot to put out the live stream link, and I had to do it while the intro was playing, and then I'm giggling at what I wrote. Anyway, I'm Brady Trantham. That was Matt Burton. Peyton Guthrie's also here. Hi, say hi, Peyton.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Alan, do you want to share the story you shared with us just before we started recording?
Yeah, Oklahoma lost in 2003 Kansas State. I was sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, I was just sad.
Yeah, everyone was sad.
I was looking for, a meaning.
There you go. Yeah, that typically happens after your favorite team loses. But that was Alan Kenny. But you know what? We're happy now because OU's portal hunting and winning a lot. So, a lot of fun stuff. OU's tight end coach is reportedly fired. Not officially, but reportedly. More on that in just a wee bit. What's up, patrons, to those that are up on the live stream on our YouTube channel? If you are here yet, it's my bad. I put out the link just a little bit too late. It's on me. But again, if you would like to jump on the live stream and ask questions, make comments, laugh at us, just go check out patreon.com/throughthekeyhole. You can join free for a month. But every week of the month, except for one, and we're starting this because we did it for free last week, but every week of the month besides one, only patrons can jump on the live stream. So just there's that. And don't forget about keyholepod.com, where you can find Alan Kinney's writings, Blatant Homerism, his column. That is the free website. So you don't have to join anything. You can just type in keyholepod.com and go get some fun Oklahoma Sooner insight. And thank you to our title sponsor, the Choctaw Nation, togetherwe'remore.com. Peyton, did you put out a new video today?
Not today, but the first of the month we always do it. So if you've gone checked out togetherwe'remore.com or checked out the YouTube channel for Choctaw Nation, you'll see the advertising for Charles Shadle, MIT composer out there in Boston. So go check his story out over on togetherwe'remore.com.
MIT, is OU going to get a tight end from MIT? I wonder. Well, they've got two from one from a reputable football school. But yes, thank you to the Choctaw Nation for the sponsorship. And then Kaiser Performance Gym in Norman, Oklahoma. It's the first of the year. Everyone's trying to go get back into shape after the holidays. I know I am. Did nothing but eat crap for 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm paying for it. And Kaiser Performance Gym. If you're in Norman, Moore, South Oklahoma City, if you're just around Central Oklahoma, go give it a try. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, leave a 5-star rating and review, all those things, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It helps the show out. Don't you want to help the show out? Don't you want to help a show out that says Happy January 6th right when the show starts? Of course you do. But first order of business, Joe John Finley, like I said, reportedly fired per Sooner Scoop's George Stoya. And I think Eddie Radosevich actually dropped it on their website. Initially, I don't know who reported it first, but yeah, it was those two. Joe John Finley reportedly fired as of right now. No official announcement has been made. There has been no picture of a helmet on the field to announce that position staff changes have been made from the University of Oklahoma. So as of right now, I guess, it's not official, but it's pretty much set in stone for me because I want it to be. So, Alan, we'll start with you. Did you do like a little yay when you saw that the news, what was it on the 1st, I believe, on New Year's Day? Were you like, now that's how you start off the new year? And then a few days later, we did some stuff in Venezuela and you're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, quite the happy New Year there to everybody. I expected John Finley to lose his job. It was going to be very hard to justify keeping him on with the state of that room and the production from the tight end position for OU. So, it wasn't like I was moonwalking or anything like that, but I thought it was a proper decision, an appropriate decision, and I'm glad it was made.
Everyone is glad that it was made. Now, was Maduro replaced with John Finley? Was that the timeline of events? Is that what happened? This is the only way we can get rid of him. This is the only job that will hire him.
I forgot about John's Nobel Peace Prize. Did he accept that still, or was that? Did he pass on that?
Probably passed on it. If it was there, he probably couldn't do anything about it. Peyton, have you at least now gained any type of optimism regarding the position of the tight end, just because simply someone else will be coaching it?
Not only will someone else be coaching it, it will just be an entirely new room. So, it is a complete restart for everything. Obviously we'll get to the portal stuff later, but it's a complete flip for basically all the skill positions for the University of Oklahoma this coming football season.
Matt, do you think John Finley could coach tight ends for Venezuela University?
Yeah, Jose Juan Finley probably could. He probably could, but no. University of Venezuela, probably the right level, I would say.
Yeah. I will address one thing because the Gabe Eichert Experience talked about this for about 30 minutes on their latest show. Gabe and Teddy, they're former players. They have that insight that is valuable. And hell, I listened to it. But they went through a whole diatribe about how we're not going to talk about it until it's A, official, which that's a fine stance to have. And B, because John's their friend. And that's not something that's shocking to me. It's something that as a listener of their show, I've always found it interesting that they have no problem questioning play calls or play philosophies from Ben Arbuckle, who's been an Oklahoma Sooner for 12 minutes. And anytime that they would criticize a tight end, it was always a particular player, and it was just absent of the coaching when it comes to any tight end discourse from their show. And I completely understand if my best friend, which one of them is in the group chat or is in the chat right now, if you, Captain Optimism, were a shitty position coach at OU with my podcast, I would tell you that you need to be fired. No, I'm just kidding. It would be hard for me to want to do that. So I understand why the second or first biggest OU podcast has a stance like that. I just want to make it abundantly clear to everybody that no one's like celebrating that John Finley is not employed. People are celebrating that now OU will have a chance to have a good tight end room because he did not do that. It's unfortunate that, anytime OU hires a coach, we all hope that it works. And especially if they're former players or, have ties to the program in some way, shape, or form, we all want Brent Venables to work. We really want him to work. And last year was a very good step in the right direction, but there's still a lot of things for him to prove. And until then, it's still a bunch of us hoping as OU people, as OU fans, that he works out. So, yeah, no one's celebrating John Finley being fired as in like, you unemployed loser, ha, ha, ha. No, it's not that. we're just fans. We just want OU to be good. And for a entire position group to just be kicked the can down the road for the last handful of years is just silly. So did anybody else want to jump on something regarding that at all? I felt the need to say it after we kind of giggled after it.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I saw some stuff on Twitter where some OU fans were talking about like how good of a guy he is and a father and a, you know, good Christian or whatever. And, you know, all those things can be true. And it does suck to see someone lose their job if you personally know them. And I would say this is probably a good reason why schools should avoid hiring former players potentially if the cord is too thick to cut when it's time for nut cutting time, you know. So maybe it's as a lesson for the future.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, I guess, silly to have a hard line stance at any point in your coaching career, one way or the other. Like, I will only hire friends and family, or I will not hire friends and family, because there are times where you need to do that. Like, it makes sense to me why Bob Stoops, when he got to OU, brought together all of his Kansas State friends and his family, because when you're trying to build a program and trying to establish a culture, especially as a first-time head coach, you don't have a Rolodex of guys that you can pull from. You have to just go by the people that you can trust to get the message across. So I understand that, but the time for understanding when it comes to Joe John Finley has, like, we are well past that. He frankly should have been let go last year, and you could have made the argument that he should have been let go, I mean, earlier on in Brent's tenure, but Brent has had this nice guy mentality of, I'm not going to go take any of Clemson's players with me when I go to OU. When I get to OU, I'm going to let everyone have like 1 year to kind of like I'm not going to cut David Agwebu, even though he clearly is not good enough to play at a school like OU at that position. You know, he's a nice guy when it comes to that. And then last year, him taking the brunt of if not all the responsibility for the offense being so crappy because he hired Seth Luttrell, no doubt probably felt like I owe it to Joe John, since he had to take it on the chin, be the interim OC, and I don't want to fire him after that. So that's just me inferring, because of course they're never going to tell us anything. So it's just, that situation leaves it open for dorks like me to infer. But as it stands right now, I mean, that's a nice little segue into what is a very, 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 very fun, impressive portal haul from General Manager Jim Nagy and the University of Oklahoma. Because speaking of tight ends, well, OU's got two of them right now, and reportedly is hosting a third tight end right now. I'm sure, like, if you're listening to this, you probably know who it is, but because that's behind paywall, you know, just go to Sooner Scoop. If you want it, like, go pay, subscribe, go talk, you know, whatever. But I mean, Matt, Rocky Beers, Hayden Hansen, it's very weird, because I don't think I've ever seen a player who the fans of the school that the player is coming from and the media that covers that player have such a negative opinion of this player. But it's like the film bros think this is a NFL tight end. And I'm just like, I don't know where we're going with this.
Yeah, I think you kind of saw that with Bauer Sharp last year, except for the film bro part. Like, except for the film guys. But you saw the negativity from the OU fans whenever he transferred to LSU. But yeah, but with Hayden Hansen, I did check, by the way, yesterday. His middle name, I believe, is Michael. So no Triple H. Thought we were going to get a Triple H there. That would have been really nice to sort of hammer that home. But no, I think it's Hayden Michael Hansen. But looking forward to him, man. I mean, 6'8", 270, like, or whatever, is 6'7", 270. Like, that's a big human being.
That's 40 pounds lighter than Phil Oldholt.
Right. Exactly.
And just as tall.
Exactly. And, like, I mean, there was stuff going around last year. Like, again, we kind of talked about it yesterday, Brady, just like we take all that in, right? We take all I think it might have been me and Tyler before we talked to you, but you take all the opinions in, right? The film bro opinions, the Florida fan opinions, which are all really negative in the passing game, for sure. I saw one tweet that called him Hitler in the passing game. So I'm a Florida fan. So there you go. That's not
the tight end.
Not a great, yeah, not a great comparison.
Was the monster. Really?
Yeah, not a great comparison there, but no, I mean, when you start looking at some of the clips that people post, especially of him in the blocking game, you're like, okay, yeah, I fully get it, and especially with him too, it was pretty obvious that Ben Arbuckle wanted the tight ends as part of the running game, and if you get a guy like this that can block his ass off and move people like he can, he's definitely gonna have a role for sure, big role.
Hitler.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, we maybe
I
we're
didn't
doing
like
it a little bit. He can't be that bad.
I
right?
didn't like Bauer Sharp. I would have never said, like, no. No. That's silly. I mean, Allen, whether it be Hayden Hansen or Rocky Beers, like, and again, this is just to really hammer home how bad this position group has been. And that's with the full understanding that Jaren Kanak was a nice player. He's an individually talented player in his own right. We appreciate Austin Stogner for his services. He made a key third down catch in 2 losses in Stillwater and Lawrence, but they were at the time key third down catches for first downs. So we appreciate him. But just to hammer home how bad the position group has been, why do I feel like I have no idea how good Hayden Hansen is? I have no idea if Rocky Beers' production at Colorado State can translate to the SEC. But I already feel like we are cooking now with that position group to be average, which is something we've prayed for 4 or 5 years.
Right. It's hard to necessarily get excited about these 2 particular players, which isn't to say that they'll be bad or anything like that, but it's more just, what we're looking at here. We're not looking at, Kellen Winslow or whatever. God, that's an old reference, isn't it? Kellen Winslow. Anyway,
No, you can say Kellen Winslow Jr. That's less old.
Oh, but I don't think I want to go there. Anyway, point being, it'll be better than what OU had. I feel like, particularly just if you're a functional blocker, I mean like adequate blocker, like, okay, we have a replacement level blocker here at tight end, then you're going to be probably better than what OU had this year. So that alone, I feel good about. I mean, I'm not sure if I'd say we're like cooking or whatever, but it's better.
I mean, again, like with as much as they want to ask tight ends to make the key pivotal block on particular run plays, like if they can just block, cool. Everything else after that is a cherry on top, because as fun as Jaren Kanak was, and he was fun and he helped the team, anytime he got asked to do tight end things, it's like, oh, I'm 6'1" and I'm undersized.
Kanak was a slot receiver. He wasn't a tight end. Let's be like,
but I still remember seeing him pull and like have to try to block a linebacker, and it's like,
I did too. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's not the move, man. I mean, Peyton, we can move on from the tight ends, and just what's the big portal landing for you that kind of told you, okay, like in Jim Nagy's first actual chance to showcase his abilities as a scout for OU, evaluator of talent for OU, allocator of resources in terms of NIL money for OU. Is there a particular player that OU has signed in the last 48 hours that kind of said to you, like, yes, I like where Jim Nagy's brain is? Or is it just mainly like the sum, like the entirety of the class thus far?
Well, I do want to. Well, I would love to talk about the tight end really fast. Sorry about that. No, with Hayden directly, I do understand where Florida fans are coming from, and I do want to go ahead and like couch some of the over-the-top optimism potentially by some OU fans. Hayden is going to be a blocking guy, and he's going to catch footballs that are inside his frame. Now, a lot of people see 6'8", and they're like, whoa, he's huge, long arms. He's not flypaper, right? The ball hits him in the chest, he catches it. I mean, that's what he's there for. They were trotting him out like split out wide at the Z position and stuff sometimes. And I have no idea why Florida was doing that. It's probably why they have a head coach. If you look at my New Year's resolution, I said a tight end who can catch and block was my number one thing for Oklahoma. And if you were to combine Rocky Beers and Hayden Hansen, you got it. So we're going to do it in the aggregate, as it says on that side. So they probably need one more for a full rotation, because right now Hayden gives you some really interesting, like, as an inline, as an H-back, he can do good there. Rocky can do inline, detached, kind of tight end, stuff. If you look at a lot of Rocky's highlight plays, he's running all that seam route where you bend it just over the top of that dropping linebacker. Kanik tried to do it a couple of times. He mainly got pass interference off of it because he couldn't quite bend that corner. And two, that's not a throw that Mateer's great at, layering over that tight linebacker. But you see some his routes and stuff. You see some of that Kanik stuff in there for Rocky, so that will be pretty good. Except he's good at blocking. I mean, good for a receiving tight end blocking.
Yeah.
Kanik was good at being thrown into somebody else, causing chaos. I mean, just from the top, I would say, Terrell Harris, good wide receiver who's going to immediately bring the floor up for Oklahoma wide receiver crew. I mean, just who they brought in with. I know we'll probably talk about Parker a little bit because of the extraness of that, but Oklahoma, for the tight end stuff and the wide receivers, bringing and elevating the skill position just completely, right? I mean, New Year's and everyone's saying, Cam Coleman, we got to get Cam Coleman, you got to get Cam Coleman, and he would be great, but I'm looking at this and saying, hey, what if just everybody's better? Not just like one good guy, then everyone else is kind of whatever. What if every wide receiver OU trots out is now 10, 15, 20% better than they were last year because of this available talent? I think that's pretty damn good, right? It allows Ben Arbuckle to scheme up other guys to be open. It's not just, okay, let's just survive until we can get Satania singled up on somebody. I mean, now you can attack them you can attack defenses across the board for that. This isn't the question you asked, but if you read the article about Rocky Beers' agent, which is kind of still an insane thing to talk about. You talk to a transfer player's agent about the process and how it went down, how Oklahoma really put everything together, and there was like a competition side of it. And before this came out, I think George wrote that article, but before George Stoya, before that came out, I was really thinking about this operation that Oklahoma has in the front office feels very, very professional. You know what I mean? Like, these guys they're visiting, they're signing, right? And what you hear a lot of in this very young era of NIL is player X is promised X amount of money, right? And that's it, right? Let's use Texas as an example because I'm a hater. Texas goes to Cam Coleman and says, we're going to offer you $2 million. And like, that's the conversation. If he were to come to Oklahoma and Oklahoma wanted to offer him that same amount, it's something in my mind. Again, I don't know anything, but it's like breaking down all the stuff. It's something like they say, Cam, we're going to offer you $2 million. You're going to get 25% of that as a sign-in bonus. Every 2 weeks, you'll be allotted out X amount of dollars. If you hit these performance indicators, you will get a certain amount of bump. If OU makes it seems like there's a contract written, right? Where there's like, here's steps, here's professionalism to it. And I'm like fan casting, and maybe other schools are saying like, here's a number. Right, and Oklahoma's like, here's the number, and then here's how it will be paid out. Here's how it will be done. And if you read that Rocky Beers thing, it does seem like OU is having this quote unquote NFL front office is paying dividends because they're answering a lot of questions these agents have and the players have immediately. Like, there's no reason to leave. They've got everything figured out for you right here, and we're not having to play that game as fans again on be hater like Texas is doing, where we have to wait. Everyone's going to take all of their visits. You have no idea. And then you end up signing nobody. Instead of saying, here's what we're going to do, sign the dotted line, let's move and go on. There's something, again, I'll use the word professional, that's happening in this front office, which, trust me, last year I did not like it, but obviously there's a different window. Nagy came in late. The one guy he signed or didn't sign was a huge bust. So now seeing how all this kind of put together and seeing how quickly these like you hear Oklahoma's in the league for somebody, a couple hours later they've committed. There doesn't seem to be a lot of wasted time in the process, which either one, it means Nagy is doing a very good job of identifying the needs of this roster and then filling those needs, and/or two, this contract negotiation side of it is broken down to such a professional level to where they're just answering the question, like they're removing questions and hurdles for players to sign at the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I mean that's what was kind of advertised to us, to everybody, when Jim Nagy was hired as the GM, was OU was trying to build out this professionalized front office akin to an NFL franchise, and how they do business, how they scout, evaluate, try to be in lockstep with the coaching staff so that everybody's on the same page. And to us at the time, like, it sounds great on paper, but in reality, Alan, you know, OU is trying to build something when, like, teams like Texas Tech are just like, here's $1 million, and then they just get immediately better. And so in that initial kind of like Jim Nagy experience, like Peyton mentioned, that like there wasn't just one window. He came in late. There was still just kind of this sense of like, is OU just always going to slow play reality here when they've had opportunity after opportunity to try to like up their NIL game, and they've had a differing idea of how to go about things. And it kind of feels like now, I mean, again, this is all silly because all these players, we all have this in our heads. And I put this in the Tuesday post. A lot of people are going to look at these names and go like, he's going to hit, he's going to hit, he's going to hit, he's going to hit. It's probably not going to happen. But as it stands right now, Alan, like when you look at the players that they got and how quickly they were able to sign them, and how they were able to sign them over other particular schools, other SEC schools, it does give me the impression, I wonder if you feel the same, that there is a plan at work here, and they understand, hey, we were, you know, pretty good last year, probably surprised even ourselves a little bit, but we were pretty good last year. And as a result, this tells me like, yeah, we were just a handful of players away, and this is like an attempt to go do it. Whereas like the other philosophy would be $3 million for Cam Coleman and hope that it works. That's the silliest way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, exactly about the strategy. It does feel like OU is working clearly, like within a plan, clearly with certain parameters, with ideas about who they want and why. The thing though that you touched on that really is surprising to me is how quickly these guys are signing, right? I mean, you would think that it would behoove them to go out, test the market, talk to all these different places, figure out what it is that, that they're looking for, or try to play schools off each other. Whatever is going on in that process, the fact that these guys are coming to Norman and essentially signing, right afterwards, that says that either OU's got a really good handle on the market, or OU's just done a very good job of making a compelling pitch. And also OU isn't wasting time on players who they don't feel like they have a chance of signing, or at least not that many. So all in all, it does seem like from that standpoint, the operation is streamlined and efficient,
Yeah, probably the unfortunate thing that we're finding out right now is, and I just looked at their website. So Benvenuti's restaurant in Norman opened in March 2005, which, if you can remember, that is well after Matt Leinart was out of high school. And so Bob Stoops didn't have a Benvenuti's to take Matt Leinart to when he was recruiting Matt Leinart. So he had to like settle for Applebee's, which that's why Matt Leinart went to USC. Because it seems like the front office has like, here's the contract, it's professionalized, like meet this coach, this coach, this coach. We're going to show you around. And then the closing deal is a dinner at Benvenuti's. And then who would have thunk it? Barry Switzer shows up. And it's like, I dare you to say no. So unfortunately, no Benvenuti's in 2003 or 2002 when Matt Leinart was a senior in high school. That's a shame. But, I mean, looking at these other, Peyton, you mentioned him, Trail Harris. That's like the big splashy player in terms of his production. The actual splashiest player, we'll save him for a little bit later. But Matt, I don't know how much of Trail Harris you were able to watch. Now, I would assume you did watch a bit of him prior to us ever thinking he could be an Oklahoma City, because he did play your Duke Blue Devils twice.
Did.
So, I mean, what are your
One
thoughts?
went pretty well. One of those nights went pretty well for Trell Harris, and the other one didn't. And that, unfortunately, the one that didn't was the one that mattered the most, the ACC title game. So
It's hard to beat a team twice.
Right, yeah, hard to beat the 8-5 Duke Blue Devils twice.
A good team twice. That's right. Yes.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, look, he, I'm sure we've all seen all the same highlights that have kind of been making the rounds. But dude, I mean, he's made some crazy catches. I mean, there's been a couple catches that you're like, oh my goodness, that's pretty fun there. So we'll see. But I mean, yeah, I mean, third team all ACC this season. And then again, Virginia was one win away from making the playoff. Like, I mean, they would have been in the playoff over James Madison or Tulane. So, yeah, no, I'm all in on it. At 1 year of eligibility left, I believe, for Trell. Weirdly enough, not the first time he would have been in Memorial Stadium. He was on Kent State's roster in 2022.
Didn't play,
did not play, but
yeah.
he's familiar with the stadium. He's familiar with it. And what a weird game that was in 2022. But yeah, no, I like what I see. I mean, 6'1", 200 pounds. Like, I mean, yeah, absolutely. This feels like a Deion Burks replacement. Probably not like as quick and sudden as Deion Burks is, but man, hopefully, he has a better OU tenure than Deion Burks did, which is not like on Deion Burks either for those 2 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, Peyton, I guess trying to read some tea leaves here. I mean, does adding Trell Harris, does adding Parker Livingstone, we'll talk about him later, adding these receivers and then them reportedly going after a few others, that Dozier, is that how you say his last name? The Dozier kid from UCF, I think. Does
App State, yeah.
App State.
Yeah.
Does any of this give you an inclination that Isaiah Satania is going to be a part of the picture in 2026, or do these signs kind of like make you go, oh, like he's probably choosing to go to the NFL?
That I'm not for sure of. I mean, I would point to the other direction of Oklahoma has had 2 more wide receivers go into the portal, in the last day. I think that's more of an indication rather than Satania going or leaving, if that were to make sense. I mean, once Ivan and Kearney, spots just opened up, right?
Well, Giovanni Gibson also.
Yeah.
Giovanni Gibson also, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's more of spots are opening up. And that's what I was talking about. Like, what if Oklahoma had, let's say, they had 8 receivers last year, and 3 of them were good. But what if you have 8 receivers next year and 6 of them are good? I mean, that's the point where I'm trying to make, where it seems like where Oklahoma's going for this side, to where you actually can rotate guys in and out instead of like, all right, here comes some dude who will not catch the football, but he needs to run sprints a couple of times so Burke can catch his breath. Something like that, right? Oklahoma now can continue to have a certain level of talent out there, much like I talked about with the Tennessee game and some of these other games along the defensive front, where, oh no, somebody's banged up, we'll just play the other guy, and production won't drop off too much. I mean, that's where Oklahoma seems to be moving itself towards across the board. Now, obviously, we haven't talked about linebacker. They need to figure that out, but it's still early. Brent Venables. I mean, if Brent Venables wants to bring a linebacker in and sign him, then I'm going to say probably good. I mean, to me, he's earned that benefit of the doubt completely. But on the wide receiver side of it, it's totally just you're bringing in above replacement talent across the board every time you get in, and then you're getting in a collection of complementary talent in those positions, right? You're not bringing in a bunch of one single body type or something. So I remember that one. There's a couple OU receiver classes where like OU wants to get big, and they only got like 6'4" receivers. It's like, what happened to the slot? Or what happened to whatever? Yeah. It's like, oh, they're all big and slow. Great. So then you need to have different body types and stuff on that side of it, so you're not ever caught off guard, or you can take advantage of a defense.
Yeah, I think just from an optic standpoint, it's definitely a big step up in terms of, and again, like Giovanni Gibson ended up being a nice player. Jermichael Carter, hopefully, knock on wood, OU hangs on to him. I want him to stay. I think he's actually, he's a player that can turn into something, can be a literal, like an actual diamond in the rough. So hopefully he stays. But going from where the, OU as a program pulled their receivers from out of the portal last year outside of just Isaiah Satania, it's just nice to see, okay, power 4 actual producing wide receiver in Trail Harris. Okay, power 4 actual producing wide receiver in Parker Livingstone. So that's a good step up. But again, it's just going to have to come down to these players like actually working in the offense and actually working with John Mateer and everything kind of like working more so than just on paper. But Alan, you had mentioned, or actually I think Peyton mentioned this, if everyone can just be 5 to 10% better than last year, that's a gigantic step up, which to me makes a lot of sense because maybe you feel differently. I thought the wide receiver core ended up being like, it's a solid college football wide receiver core. It's not spectacular. It's not awful. We have seen, even at OU, we've seen, in my opinion, we've seen worse wide receiver cores in season. I mean, 2024 is an obvious like duh, because a bunch of kids had to play due to injury. 2009's wide receiver core was really bad outside of Ryan Broyles. If they can, less so than just like Jermichael Carter makes a leap, less so than like, I don't know how much better Isaiah Satania can be if he does come back. To me, it's just, if Trail Harris is just a better version of what OU asked Deion Burks to be, and if Parker Livingstone can be something that OU just simply hasn't had, like a receiver that tall, that big, that's a proven pass catcher in the SEC. And I think he had 2 catches against us in the Cotton Bowl, and I think both of them were back-breaking third down conversions. So OU adding a player like that has to help John Mateer, more so than the crew he was rolling with last year, right?
Oh, it has to. I view what they're bringing in now, if Isaiah Satania comes back, is a clear upgrade in my mind, right? And I don't think that receiver held John Mateer back or anything like that this season, but OU had a crop of 3 fine overall receivers. A good nucleus, a fine nucleus, but not anything that was going to really put defenses, on high alert or anything like that. Now, I don't know if Trail Harris will do that. I don't know if Parker Livingstone will do that. But what I do know is that I feel more confident in their ability to produce than I did in the guys who are leaving, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think you said it correctly. The receivers didn't drag John Mateer down, but if they can get to a point where they are good enough to mask some of his flaws when he makes those silly decisions and throwing off his back foot to a 6'1" Jaron Kanik. Well, if you're doing that to a 6'8" Hayden Hansen, maybe it's at least not intercepted. Maybe it's caught. If you're throwing a screen to a Deion Burks and you throw it inaccurately, because that's what John Mateer does half the time on screens, well, maybe Trail Harris with a bigger frame can break a tackle and it's not as much of a detrimental play. So, in my mind, that's kind of where Nagy's trying to go with all this. These players do seem like the skill position players. These players do seem like a GM trying to address, my quarterback is cool, but he ain't that great, and I'm trying to mask some of those flaws. So hopefully that be the case. Do you guys have any X Factor additions that you just kind of for what one particular reason or another you just really like? Mine is Marion Harris, because anytime you can tell me that you're going to add a starting right tackle from an SEC team, let alone an SEC team that just was an offensive. Arkansas sucked, but their offense would just get yards. So if you're adding that guy, thank you. That makes me happy. It makes me feel a whole lot better about the offensive line just day one moving forward. But Matt, is there anybody else that kind of you're just excited about for one reason or the other?
Yeah, I kind of like the Kenny Ozawalu kid from UTSA. Listed as defensive tackle, but is 6'4", 270. I think played interior for UTSA, which I think you can get away with there at 270. But feels like a little bit of a tweener, but also has 3 years of eligibility left. So feels like a guy that, hey, go supersize whenever you go out, right? Whenever you go through the drive-through, right? Get the supersize meal, tack on a couple extra pounds there, and maybe move him inside at some point. I think there's some stuff there to like from just the limited stuff I watched today. But yeah, and I think Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis have kind of earned a little bit of trust there with their respective rooms. So if he ends up with Chavis, if he ends up with Todd Bates, I think it would be a nice. I think that could be a nice addition if they see something in him.
Yeah, I mean, Ozawalu, I mean, the thing that excites me about him is that Texas wanted him, and not just because we got one over Texas, but because, anytime you're recruiting a player and other great programs want them, I'm like, okay, that's probably a good sign. It's better than, early 2010s Bob Stoops when he would sign somebody and you'd look at who else is recruiting him, and it was like pre-Art Briles, Baylor, and UTEP and New Mexico State. It's like, what are we doing? Peyton, who's your I love this kid. Don't ask me why, but I just love him.
I love this kid. Don't ask me. Rocky Beers. I talked about him in the New Year's Eve posted there. What was my resolution? Rocky Beers. I just like Rocky Beers, man. Love me some beers. Love beer. I love beer. On that side of it. No, I think he's just a tight end. I mean, just straight through the piece tight end. Oklahoma needs a weapon like that for this offense to really hum and give Mateer an outlet that will be one, acceptable in the run game, but you don't have to like bring him off the field for any running play. You can keep him out there. He can do some stuff. I think I don't think it's like he's not like a superstar or something like that, but I think he'll do well. Then, like I mentioned there, the NIL jersey fund will do well for him. Whatever number he gets in beers should be good. Maybe we can get a Spirit shop in on that to kind of help us out every time he scores a touchdown. Maybe we can do a discount code or something. No, I think it's pretty good overall. I think it'll be good. Marion Harris, I do want to say, I was bringing up some stats here. They are tied 99th in the country in sacks allowed last year with 29. Tied with Oklahoma at 29 sacks. They both finished 99th in the country last year in sacks allowed. So, I'd have to dig into it. Obviously, sacks, and they had a quarterback who was scrambling around a lot. So maybe there's some more in there. But that's a little bit of the reason why he wasn't like way over the top of that. Was like individual tackle play. Sometimes hard to kind of look at it, and I'm not a master at that stuff. But it's a little bit easier to see Rocky Beers running around making plays in Colorado State.
Yeah, I'm going back and looking at our New Year's resolution from last week's show, and let's see, because we each had 2. Joe John Finley fired. Check. Find a tight end who can block and catch. That remains to be seen, but at least on paper, Alan, I think you can check that box, and then get Rocky Beers for Peyton. Matt, you didn't write yours down. I remember one of them was John Mateer getting better.
Golly, I can't even remember now. I don't know if it was John Mateer getting better. I think it was one of them was going all in, whatever OU's version of all in was.
Is this all in?
Going all in parentheses, Taylor's version is what in parentheses, OU's version is what I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you're signing all these players, a lot of them with Power 4 experience and production history, and your head coach is flying to Pittsburgh to go try to get was it a linebacker, or is it Cole Sullivan from Michigan to don't go play for that 70-year-old man, come play for this 50-year-old man, right? Brent's in his 50s, right? Or is he in his 60s?
He's 55.
50s, yeah.
Sometimes he looks great for his age, and sometimes he looks really old. It's really hard to explain. It's just a very gaunt.
Tough couple of years, to be fair.
Yeah, just very gaunt. I do did Red Dirt, was he the one that photoshopped him in the Soviet era, hat, the little Russian hat or whatever?
Oh, yes, yeah.
That looks too good. That looks like an actual, Brent just dressed up for Halloween. It's that's not Photoshop. No. Yeah, this appears to me going all in. So at least, let's see, 4 of our 8 of our 8 News resolutions have already come true. Alan, you had get 2 defensive linemen for the rotation. OU did lose out on the Michigan State kid to USC, which I guess that can happen.
And the Arkansas State kid, right? Did he sign?
I think so. I think they also missed on him. Yeah, so they are having a little bit of trouble there.
I wonder if it's because some of these players don't want to not, or they don't see the value in like you're only going to play like 20 or 30 snaps a game. They're like, what? Like I played all the snaps. I wonder if that might be the case. And they're like, no, seriously, it's awesome. I don't know. I mean, more David Stone, more Jaden Jackson, cool. But yeah, we need to get better depth. Let's focus on Parker Livingstone now, because that was the exciting thing. OU gets Parker Livingstone. And Peyton, I've not been able to really say it better than how you said it in our Discord chat the other day. But this is what it seems like to me, because I agreed with you, and I'll paraphrase it. But you had said something about how it's kind of funny to watch OU hit doubles and triples out of the portal, and Texas is like swinging and missing for home runs out of the portal. And as a byproduct of that, they more than likely had to, cut Parker Livingstone's whatever money that they were paying him. They probably had to cut a large portion of it to the point where they were like, yeah, like you can play for free, and then that means he's bye-bye. And so their decision to make, like Texas making that decision, leads to Parker Livingstone being a free agent suddenly. And I don't know if they've truly struck out on Cam Coleman, because I feel like Cam Coleman's just like, I want to take my visits because I know how good I am. I don't think that this is one of those cases where, like, if he visits and he doesn't sign, then it's bad news. Like, I think that this is a unique case. So I think Texas still has a chance. But boy, if Texas doesn't get Cam Coleman, and OU ends up with a guy who caught 6 touchdowns for their shitty offense last year, that's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Everything that you laid out there makes me feel like Texas is going to get Cam Coleman, because I think at this point they almost can't afford not to, just with like the court of Texas fan opinion, if you will. It's just like they're going to do it for the optics, but also getting into a bidding war with Cody Campbell and Texas Tech feels like kind of a fool's errand at times.
I know you got Chip Brown going on Orange Bloods or whatever the shit and saying things like, I think Texas is under the impression that some schools are paying more than the $20.5 allotted million or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like,
Yeah. You think?
my man. My man. Well, Texas suddenly, where is your honor? It's so dumb, man. They suck, and it's so funny to watch. And again, it makes me all the more angry that OU lost to them last year. Very angry. But Peyton, that was kind of those were your initial thoughts. I mean, do you still feel that way? OU, Texas, Parker Livingstone, catch-all thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, from the Oklahoma side, like I mentioned, it seems like the front office knew the holes in the roster and have addressed them for the most part so far, right? They had a plan for each position, and they're walking through that plan. The plan isn't, the plan isn't some nebulous go all in. What does that mean? Now what? We're excited. Now what do we do? I mean, it seems like they're like, okay, we need, let's get a couple of guys wide receiver. Here's a certain tier we're looking for. Here's the type of production we're needing, body types. And they seem a little more, I don't know. They seem pretty formulaic about how they're doing it, right? I mean, if you go look at the 24/7 rankings, it's Penn State and Oklahoma State because they've got like 30 players each. I think it's Indiana, OU with 9 commits, and that's pretty good company for Oklahoma because Kurt Cignetti's pretty damn good out of the portal finding these guys. This is good though. So where Oklahoma is at, and this is something because I love saying this following phrase, something Alan and I have talked about. You need to cultivate your talent out of high school, and you need to supplement your roster via the portal, unless somebody, if a superstar falls in your lap, go grab them. Yeah. So what Oklahoma's having to do right now is they're supplementing their roster out of the portal. They're not having to go get a Cam Coleman for this portal class to be successful. They're not having to go. I mean, I'm a hater. So again, look at Texas. One of the guards from Michigan just said they're going back. And that was like key number one, cannot lose for Texas to just have an offensive line next year. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like they put themselves in a position where the portal isn't about, well, where can we make the roster better? Some of this stuff's like, where can we make a roster? So that's Oklahoma was in that for the first 3-ish years for Britt's, coach career. And now they're a little more of, they can be choosy, they can pick, they can be a little more scientific, I guess is a horrible phrase for that, but they can be a little picky and spread the money where it needs to be spread and build the roster out. So it's a much better place to be than, with the hat out being like, how much do you need? How much, please God. It's a much better place for Oklahoma to be this year.
Yeah, and I guess as it pertains to Texas, Alan, maybe you can speak to this a little bit more. As it pertains to them, it's really silly for them to have the idea that, oh, we're just a Cam Coleman away. Like, they are multiple positions away from being back to where they were when Quinn Ewers was there. Like, their offensive line needs to be addressed. Are they confident that they're just going to be able to make a gigantic leap from 2025 to 2026 with just the guys they have? I mean, maybe. Like, they're talented, I'm sure, but their defense is going to have a new defensive coordinator, which would have been a great hire 12 years ago in Will Muschamp. And so they're certainly going to have to go through like some growing pains with players who were not recruited for his system, having to play in his system. I mean, to me, it's not smart, but that's the Texas way. Let's just try to make a big splash our way to greatness, because that's what greatness is. And it's like, well, I mean, Arch Manning is a good college quarterback. He beat OU last year, and again, respect. But I mean, what was his name? Gerard Hurd beat OU. So like, whatever. It's silly to me that Texas is like, is Parker Livingstone an awesome, you got to have this guy talent? Well, no. Is he a good player who helps make winning plays on potentially good teams? Yes, he is, in my opinion. I thought that in the Cotton Bowl, and he only had 2 catches. So it's very Texas on brand for them to like have this offseason philosophy, I guess, but it's just silly to kind of watch unfold.
Yeah, I guess the thing that we need to keep in mind is possible that Parker Livingstone looked at the situation and thought, I need to go somewhere else. I mean, Texas will have, if let's say Texas signs Cam Coleman, they have Ryan Wingo coming back, right? So that's a pretty nice 1-2 punch right there. So I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but that's pretty good. I think that, but the lack of urgency, I guess, about the offensive line there is the part that's very surprising to me. And I think it does seem as though their plans aren't really things aren't going according to plan for them, I guess, at running back also is the way it looks. I think they'll end up getting, it sounds like there's a lot of smoke around them and Raleek Brown. That's a familiar name for Sooner fans. But I don't think Raleek Brown is maybe in the same category as the other guys they wanted, Jaden Baugh or an Isaac Brown. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the plan is there, but they got a lot of money, so I'm sure that they can, cast a wide net, I guess, would be the way I put it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if Cam Coleman goes to Texas, like that, their offense is better. I would just, if OU was in this position and they had questions at offensive line, I'd be like, screw the big fish wide receiver. Like, because if you don't have a quarterback that can stand in the pocket long enough to throw it to him, it doesn't matter. I mean, look no further than Cam Coleman's first 2 years at Auburn, where he played with Peyton Thorne and Jackson Arnold. And you can tell how good he is because he is very good, but not having a good offensive system cannot mask the fact that you have a badass wide receiver, I guess. But oh well. Yeah, and at the end of the day, if he goes to A&M or Texas, I mean, OU's played him 2 years in a row and beat him 2 years in a row. He cut Cortland Guillory, but hey, I'd love to see that matchup again now that Cortland's not going to be in his 4th game as a true freshman, so that would be fun. Matt, any Parker Livingstone thoughts other than ha 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 ha? I mean, he's 6'4", he's big, he runs well for his size. He looks like a guy that I would want. So he could have been from some other Power 4 school, and I'd been like, cool, that's a great get. Let alone that it's from he's from Texas.
Right. Well, and I mean, he had some good production this year. To be honest with you, he was just a redshirt freshman, so he's got 3 years of eligibility left as well. That's a huge plus. And for a guy that's already done it in the SEC, that's also a huge plus. But didn't he? I know he got hurt, but I know he played against OU. But he got hurt in the Florida game, I want to say, and it looked pretty bad. But he ended up playing all the games, so that was also durable. He took a pretty bad shot, if I remember correctly, in the Florida game.
He was a game time decision against OU after the Florida game.
That's right. But yeah, no, excited about it. And again, just some more versatility to that room, man.
Yeah, I saw some Texas account on Twitter mention that OU's excited about our 4th option at receiver who had a 30% drop rate or something like that. And all I thought of was it's okay to be mad online. And number 2, I remember Deion Burks had drops problems at Purdue. And honestly, Arch Manning is a good college quarterback. He is not awesome. So maybe, the offseason is really long. I'm sure I'll go back and watch some Parker Livingstone highlights or Texas games to see is he actually not good with the ball in his hands, or is he dropping balls that are technically hitting him in the hands, but technically hitting him in the hands, or are they just inaccurate? So, whatever.
And also just, he was a freshman last year, a true freshman last year. I mean, and yeah, he got passed up once, someone who was been on the roster a little bit longer got healthy, stuff like that. He wasn't supposed to be in rotation for them early on, was put in rotation and then succeeded, and then was phased out as more guys became available who had been in the system a little bit longer or stuff like that. So I'm not going to, he's not going to, what's that boxing movie? He's like the Great White Hope or something for Oklahoma wide receiver core. But I do think, yeah, for a 6'4" 3rd down guy, I think that's it more than fine to pick up somebody like him and do that. But no, at no point in time should we be thinking of him as this super difference maker on that. Oklahoma has those guys. If Satania comes back, Satania and Harris, those are the guys. Those are your big play guys moving forward.
I know Jacob Jordan exists, but he didn't start any games, right? Did he start any games in 24?
I think so.
No. In 24 probably.
24 he did, not this past year.
But... yeah, at the end of the season, yeah.
Huh, okay. I'll double check. I believe you guys. I was just going to ask, when was the last time OU had a white wide receiver start? I know they've had white wide receivers.
Drake Stoops.
Okay. Forgot about
that's
that.
why you memory hold that one. Yeah.
There you go. That's fine.
Didn't Gavin start?
Unfortunately.
Gavin Freeman.
Yeah. I don't think he started. Unless Jeff Levy's plan for a game was the first play was going to be a reverse, then he would have started.
Okay, I've got the numbers here. Jacob Jordan started 1 game in 2024. That was the bowl game against Navy.
Gotcha.
Are you looking at Pro Football Focus?
Yes.
It says Zion Kearney didn't start in the Navy game. He started against Missouri. He started against Maine. He started against Alabama, and I know he started against Navy. Pro Football Focus annoys me because I use it, but at the same time, I'm is this actually true? But no one can argue it. No, okay. I completely forgot about Drake Stoops. He's a good player.
We all know.
He's a good player. Okay, so overall transfer portal madness. It does feel a lot cleaner. Since there's one window, I think this was a step in the right direction to ultimately get to where we need to get to. Hopefully, not too long in the distant future, but at some point. But I mean, Alan, you had a tweet the other day about. I don't know. I can't remember what you were trying to like the point was, but the point after the fact was like, there's a reason why Indiana is pretty good, and look at all their like old players on their team on offense and defense. And they had 14, 15 offense defense.
Yeah.
And just for comparison's sake, you had 7 and 8 offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So like the transfer portal, it takes away like kind of a chunk of your roster that can be developed and may not hit in year 1 or year 2, but year 3, year 4, they become good players, and they've been in the program so long that even if they're not awesome, they're invaluable because they understand the culture. They understand what needs, like all the behind the scenes stuff that we as fans don't really know or care about that much. Those things matter. Indiana has a lot of that. And as a result of the transfer portal, like that's kind of going away for almost every single program, except for the ones that are still trying to do the thing. Like, I mean, OU's doing this. They're trying to still build their rosters from high school and then accenting it through the portal.
Yeah. Now, one thing that was interesting about Indiana is they had a significant number of 6-year players too. And like, I mean, think about what we're talking about here when we say that. I mean, these are 24-year-old dudes, like, and versus, having an 18-year-old freshman. I mean, that's a significant amount of time and a significant amount of development to have those kinds of players. And I did that, by the way. I based those numbers on the top 20 in snaps played on offense and top 20 on defense, which I think is a good indication of who's actually contributing.
Yeah.
So Indiana has a team of men, really. Like, I mean, the number of players who weren't, who were below the 4th year level, I mean, is tiny. That's no matter how you slice it, then that's an advantage. Part of the reason why it's not necessarily that I don't think Cignetti is a great coach or anything like that, but there's going to probably be some kind of kind of overrating or hysteria about what he's accomplished going for laying the foundation for the future, I think. And it's not necessarily a blueprint that teams are going to be able to follow going forward, especially when you consider with the COVID year, how many 6-year seniors just won't be around. You can say, okay, get older, but having a bunch of those dudes at your disposal, I mean, that helps. There's no way around it.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you did this much digging with that, but whenever teams do have like old rosters, I mean, how many of those players are going to be like guys that have been at least at that school or at the very least one other school? If you started off somewhere and then transferred and then stuck out at your second school, then that to me is normal. That's understandable. But these dudes that are jumping from like 3 or 4 different schools in their college careers, like, is there value in having a guy who's just old but has been at multiple like institutions, like,
right.
You know what I mean?
No, exactly. And there'll be more of those guys, I'm sure, going forward. The COVID year really kind of made everything weird. But you're absolutely right. I mean, a guy who's bounced around that much, you got to wonder what the value is there. But a lot of these guys on Indiana's roster, for example, I mean, looking at it, for example, like their center, Coogan, right? I mean, he was at Notre Dame for 3 years and then transferred over. I mean, you're getting and was a starter at Notre Dame on a team that played for the national championship last year. I mean, you're getting a good player when you get a guy like that, and on top of that, he's old. I mean, it's a sound strategy. I just don't know how long term it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot. I mean, there's going to be a lot of randomness with the transfer portal in terms of like what teams are able to put it together. I mean, just with the final 4 teams right now, I mean, you guys might disagree. If Lane Kiffin's still coaching Ole Miss, and I would have picked them, you know, like when the playoffs started to win the national championship, if Lane Kiffin's coaching them, I don't think they beat Georgia. I don't think Lane Kiffin's that awesome. And I think that they've found some random, like good fortune, good momentum with Pete Golding. I don't know if that's going to last, but right now, yeah, they look like the best team in the country, in my opinion. So coaching carousels, transfer portal, it's just leading to a lot of randomness. And I guess the best thing that you can hope for is just build a program to withstand some of that randomness, and you're able to put it together in a year where, you know, it's not prime Alabama or prime LSU, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they also got a fantastic quarterback out of the transfer portal, which is unbelievable.
Matt McDonald with the comment.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Trinidad Chambliss. Yeah. Again, is there like Alan? You had mentioned it in our Discord chat. How is Trinidad not a Heisman candidate? I don't understand. In this class, I do not understand it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, my theory was that, you know, Lane Kiffin really sucked up a lot of the oxygen around his candidacy, which is kind of a weird thing to say with a coach. But it just, I don't know. This seems like a good enough kind of explanation in my mind.
Makes sense. Lane wishes he was a player so bad. Any other final OU thoughts before we get to college football at large? Okay, I mean, Zion Kearney leaving, that sucks, but I mean, I think that's getting us closer and closer to the point where Emmett Jones is just no longer going to be coaching receivers because, oh boy. And Ryan said it on the Exit Interview podcast, and I already forgot. Is his contract up at the end of this month? Emmett Jones?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if that means that if it's not renewed that he's done. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. He was in the picture with Parker Livingstone, so he's still involved.
I imagine he will be OU's wide receivers coach next year.
Well, Elijah Thomas better be a thing then. We'd already talked about Marcus Strong, Taylor Tatum. I mean, we hardly knew ye. Ivan Carrione sucks because he's big, but, you know, other than that. And then, Alan, you'd mentioned Giovanni Gibson. Honestly, of the guys that you could have potentially lost, I mean, hopefully, knock on wood, Isaiah Satania comes back. I would have preferred Giovanni Gibson to leave over Jermichael Carter. That's just my opinion. I know, like, a lot of people that have some access claim that Giovanni Gibson was awesome, and I'm sure they're not lying that they believe that. But maybe it was John Mateer sucking. Maybe that was like more of the influential factor. But Giovanni seemed like a fine player, but I think that OU could have upgraded, and hopefully they have.
Yeah, and you wonder too. I mean, that injury just seemed like he never really. Who knows? But it just seemed like that held him back pretty significantly.
Yeah, it sucks. Okay, so this is just kind of a rant before we get to the playoffs. This is just kind of a random aside. Yeah, Bomani Jones's podcast. I've listened to it for years, or whatever podcast he's had over the years. His latest episode was just it was just, I mean, it's funny. And Alan, it's I feel silly saying this to you since you're, you know, like he comes on the show with you every year before you Texas, and you guys are friendly. It makes me laugh whenever like modern day Bomani Jones is like, yeah, I'm not a Texas fan anymore. But then every time he talks about college football, it's very apparent like where his loyalties lie. And I understand it. I understand why he feels that way about Texas. It's a very nuanced reasoning for why he's not like hook 'em horns the whole time anymore like he used to be when he was younger, and I understand that. But less to do with what they were talking about in this episode, because it was just talking about Vince Young and the Rose Bowl. I mean, we're sitting here as OU fans, Alan, and going like, man, it's been 25 years, 26 years. And in those 26 years, OU's played for 3 more, which I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I think it technically makes it a little bit better. They've also been to the playoffs, a bunch since then. They've been in big games since then. And we've got people talking about the Rose Bowl 20 years later, and it was a great game, but I guess now sliding into something specific that they said, they really leaned on the whole, like, man, USC was an unstoppable machine. Like the whole, like they were bigger than the sport at the time, which was true. But man, it just completely ignores the fact that USC lost their entire defense that kicked our ass in the Orange Bowl. That's why they beat us.
I you know what? I listened to the first half of this earlier, and like I think to their credit, I think they did make a point to say like this team was not the team from 2004. That team had a phenomenal defense, and down the line again, they built a phenomenal defense there. But I don't know how much you guys remember about that game, that team, that season. But I mean, ESPN especially really leaned into the whole 3 national championships in a row, and of course LSU is going to have a problem with that. But is this the greatest team of all time? It became like a whole. I mean, there was.
Do you remember when they did that series of like, could this USC team beat like this legendary college football team? Do you remember the OU team they chose?
I don't.
It was like the 54 or 55 OU team, and then the discussion was, oh well, these athletes it's just different these days. It's like, then what the fuck did you choose a team from the 50s for?
I know it, but like leading up to that game, I think it was pretty much every day they picked a different school or a different all-time great team to compare them against. And I mean, listen, they had a ton of star power on that team too. It was, but they just, the defense that team was, you could see just watching them play that they were not nearly the same. And there's a game they played that season, which was a phenomenal game also against Fresno State. I can remember like I was in a bar in DC watching it because like it kicked off 10 o'clock Eastern or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I remember it, but like, I mean, we're talking about Fresno State. We're not talking about, even UCLA or whatever, that took them to the wire, and so like that part of it, I mean, the thing is that it was a great game. Like legitimately it had drama. It had it all, man. And it sucks to look back at it as an OU fan and realize that Texas not only played in this great game, but it won a national championship in this great historic game, but that Texas team did have a great season. I don't think there's any way around that. But yeah, I think that at the time, the narrative about USC, got about that USC team got blown kind of out of proportion. And, on top of that, it's hard to kind of remake the legend, after all these years.
Yeah. And USC, like you talked about, I mean, USC had, at the end of that game, snapped its winning streak. It was at 34 straight wins, right?
Another big thing.
I was rooting for Texas for this reason, and I felt gross then. I feel gross now.
Yeah, the fourth highest streak, tied with Miami, just a year before when they had their streak snapped and or whatever. So I mean, when they started, so I mean, it's there. I mean, this team was, generally just amazing. And what I didn't see the Bomani thing, but I did see this tweet from Jake Olson, and I'll read it for the podcast viewers. Jake Olson, former USC player, medically blind player, He said, I battled cancer the first 12 years of my life, eventually losing my eyesight. But walking out of the Rose Bowl that night was still the worst moment of my childhood. So,
Oh God! Wow.
very funny to be able to make fun of yourself and poke holes at yourself. But talking how fandom is at that point in time. But I saw that tweet and I laughed my ass off. I was like, "That's a good one. That's a good one from Jake Olson. Good shout out to Jake."
Yeah, I mean, Matt, we're kind of the same age. I mean, Peyton, you and I, or the three of us are kind of in the same age bracket. But
and Alan too. Alan's don't leave Alan.
No.
Don't leave Alan out.
In spirit.
Alan's younger than us. He's like 20 years old. No, like the Orange Bowl against USC. I mean, that happened when I was 14. Yeah, I would have been 14 years old. So it's like the last time, like the last few years when like college football players are like Greek gods to you and they're heroes. And for OU to be so thoroughly destroyed, because I don't remember being super like bummed about the Kansas State loss in the Big 12 championship game. I can't remember what Allen did after that game, but whatever. I don't remember being super down about it because I was, I think, more shocked than anything. Like, what? We're still going to the national championship, right? Like we're still going, right? Oh, then who cares, So I was able to brush it off much, much easier. But OU lost so badly at a time where, like it ruined my like outlook on life. And then you had to sit through an entire like season of not only is like USC just getting all this praise and like they destroyed OU last year. It's like Texas is getting the benefit of the doubt or they're getting the benefit of the Big 12 sucked in 2005. And that's when it really started to like go from what was the best conference in the country in the late 90s, early 2000s to what it became. And 2005 was the first year where I think like Tech won or got to the Cotton Bowl at 9-3, and they got there by virtue of cheating to beat us. Oh, well. So it was so hard to stomach as a kid is what I'm saying. So anytime like Rose Bowl, like nostalgia comes out, I'm just like, can't you guys do anything else? Because we sit here and we like hate the fact that our national championship was 5 years before. It's like a drop in the bucket in terms of time. And they're sitting there like, man, that was the greatest game ever. And it's like, is that your program? Is that game 20 years ago? And it's going to be 30 years ago and then 40. And then the Vince Young discourse. He a phenomenal player for 1 year because the other 2 years, OU spanked that ass. And they spanked that ass so hard that Matt Brown was like, let's just not coach him anymore because he clearly is.
Let him do his thing. Yeah.
He's clearly like not smart enough to run an offense, or we're trying to, make him run something that he can't run. But if you're that talented, you should be able to run the fucking veer. But whatever.
No, I think it's funny. That year was my first OU Texas game that I ever went to. And you're talking
2005
about like,
one?
Yeah, that was the first one I ever went to.
I'm surprised you went back.
I know, right? I know. Well, I almost did, but dude, I mean, I'd never experienced anything like it before. So of course, and I was still at that age. I think I had just turned 12 or something, or just 11, somewhere around there. And so, I mean, I was still in that age. I wanted to ride rides and do all that stuff too. So like, that's why I kept coming back. But seeing Vince Young in that game was like, holy shit. Like, this guy is one of the best players I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. He was awesome in that game. And then I think the reason why it still gets talked about, one, is it technically like the 20th anniversary of that game?
It is. That's why they did
That's
the
why
show
they did it.
today,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. I was doing the mental math, and I'm not known for my math skills, but I thought I was right. But yeah, that, and then I think just like the star power in that game, right? I mean, Vince Young, obviously. I mean, you just go down the list of the guys that were on both of those rosters. I mean, Reggie Bush and Vince Young, like, I mean, those guys are just awesome. And I think this collection of that talent, and to Alan's point, like, it was an awesome game. Like, it was a really, really good game. I just don't know, like, maybe the only other one in my lifetime maybe would have been Georgia Bama. where Tua Tagovailoa hits Devontae Smith
In terms of
overtime.
drama, yeah, wow,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. A bunch of drama there. I mean, you look down the rosters, ton of great players. I guess it would have been better if the opposing quarterback was better than Jake Fromm. So, that would have been better. But yeah, I mean, tons of drama. You had, the Tua taking over for Jalen Hurts thing, like all this stuff. So that, to me, like as far as the drama, great game, crazy ending, like that would be the only one I think that kind of compares to that one.
So Brady, to add to your lament about how the stars aligned for Texas that year, are you familiar with the Texas-Ohio State game that season?
Yeah. Oh, Texas won at the end.
Yeah, they won late, but Ohio State's eventual Heisman Trophy winning quarterback the following season, Troy Smith, was actually suspended, I believe, for like the first half of that game. And so he only played half of it. And Ohio State started the immortal Justin Zwick, who threw for 4.4 yards per attempt when he was in the game. Yeah. So anyway, point being, like, that team had a great season. It really did. But like, I mean, that's a good break. There's no way around it,
Yeah, it's a good break. Here's what probably is a. Go ahead, Peyton.
I would say you guys will never hear the story, but hearing the two difference of people versus losses. Alan talking about the 0-3 loss, what he had to do afterwards, and Matt saying, "I wanted to go ride the rides." It's so funny. I needed to go to the Bears after that lose.
I had been introduced to the Fletcher's Corny Dogs, and unfortunately wasn't old enough
not too bad.
Yeah, but yeah, road rides, corn dogs. This is awesome. I got to see OU play. This is great.
Here's probably what is a.
And then before we move on to Vince Young, real fast, my favorite Vince Young memory is $5,000 a week at a Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, that was
insane to hear about that.
I think that there's a correct answer to this. I also understand that most people on the street would answer differently. Who is a better player, Vince Young or Adrian Peterson?
Peterson.
Sorry, college.
See how you could say Vince Young.
Yeah, college.
In college?
Yeah.
Oh, college.
Yeah, because we're talking about college.
So
Adrian
Peterson was hurt way too much in college to say the answer is Vince Young.
Yeah. If you say the 1 year thing, then say, well, Adrian had 1 year of great.
Yeah, I mean that's why I think it's a fair.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's still a fair question, because his injuries in his sophomore and junior year kind of equate to Vince Young being really good against shitty Big 12 teams. And, oh God, here's OU. I suck now. Because like one other thing that like they said that Bomani said on his pod was, yeah, like when he was setting up why this game was so hyped, he was like, they went number 1 and number 2, like wire to wire, which technically I think is incorrect, because I think Texas did jump up to 1 for a week and USC dropped.
Well, and like at one point, Texas didn't start the season that high. I think Ohio State was number 2 that year.
Yeah, because OU and USC did that. And so anytime some dumb motherfucker brings up like Auburn should have been in the national championship, fuck off, you idiot. That's like saying this guy should have won the Heisman after the bowl game. It's like the Heisman gets handed out before the bowl games or before the national championship. So don't use that as your criteria. Like, be quiet. Auburn didn't make the national championship.
I'm looking at the stats. USC started season number 1. Texas started season number 2. They did not flip until the end of the game of the national championship.
Really? Okay.
According to the AP poll.
I thought
coaches poll may be different.
I think Texas jumped up to 1 week in the BCS.
That
maybe
might have happened,
coaches poll had them 1-2. AP had them 1-2. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because OU and USC actually did it, where USC was 1 and OU was 2 the entire year. And
yes, BCS was week 7, USC 1, Texas 2. Week 8, Texas 1, USC 2. Then they flipped back. But AP was 1 and 2 all the way.
Yeah, I mean the numbers, the computer systems were going to like Texas better that season, no matter. I mean, because USC really was kind of like leaking oil by the end of the year.
Yeah. No, it's just a shame. I mean, the 04 OU team was awesome, and they're just tossed aside. And look, this is the University of Oklahoma, and championships are the standard. And so there's a part of me that kind of says, like, yeah, they kind of deserve to by virtue of how shittily they got their ass kicked by against USC. But I mean, God, man, Adrian was so good that year. I just hate that it just gets, nope, Vince Young gives a shit about Vince Young, except for Texas fans. But I understand why. Playoffs. Miami, Ole Miss. What? Miami? From the ACC? Alan, help me. What's going on? Why they're good now?
Yeah, they kind of took the OU route in the sense that they invested heavily in the defensive line, and we found really for the second straight game, I think that Ohio State's offensive line was they came up wanting. They were short. They didn't have it in the trenches this year, and you do that. I mean, I think I heard the other day the stat was something like in the 2 playoff games so far, Miami has 12 sacks. Like, I mean, think about what a sack does, in the course of a game. I mean, it's that you're able to do that, man. You're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, it was a carbon copy of some of OU's wins in November, where I mean, don't look now, Miami, but pick sixes, turnovers, forcing turnovers. That
was the one thing, right? They got that big pick six, or was it a fumble recovery or pick six? Either way,
it was a pick six, and it was exactly like when Dominique Franks picked off Nebraska at the beginning of that game in 2008. Remember?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Just it's like he knew what the play was.
Yes.
Like he was just told, "Hey, we're gonna throw a screen." He's like, "Okay," click, touchdown, and then that game was over.
Sorry, Peyton, I just saw Matt McDonald's comment.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's their brand, man. They like if you say that to an Ole Miss fan's face and they get insulted, like, what are you insulted for? This is your thing, right? Rebellion.
Sorry. Speaking of, my goodness, speaking of Ole Miss coach Joe Judge, just about an hour ago, was asked about how hectic this week has been for him. He says, quote, "My next door neighbor was Aaron Hernandez. I know this is more chaotic."
I just saw it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, Bunky with the Alonzo Mourning gift. I remember that game. That was opening night after the Heat beat the Mavericks in the 06 finals, and then the Bulls just beat the shit out of the Heat. Goodness gracious. Peyton, any Miami Ole Miss thoughts?
Well, I think about like week 8 or week 9. I said this is looking at the two teams before they lost some games. I said these were probably your number 1 and number 2 team in the nation. And then they proceeded to lose a couple. Miami lost 2 games, then Ole Miss lost to Georgia. So maybe I'm maybe I get some redemption on that side of it. I think this is a good game. I think this is probably where the Ole Miss fairy tale ends, just due to the offensive line, defensive line. I'm just so strong on that. Unless, Beck has a bad game, right? Then that can happen just as much as he could have a good game. That's what he's all about. They're just rolling the dice with him. It just seems weird. Maybe because Lane isn't in here, he won't do something stupid, and Cristobal will. Or maybe spite is such a driving factor for them. Never discount spite to do that. But I think it'll be generally a good game. But this will be a defensive front that will chase him around and make Trinidad make some plays. I mean, this is going to be what I don't know. Of the 2 games, I think this is the more interesting game. Mm-hmm. But I'm leaning towards Miami.
I will note that Trinidad Chambliss did see a defense defensive front similar to this one and played pretty well.
That's true. That's true.
Not that long ago. So
Robert Spears Jennings, my God, that game. You're not a linebacker, my man. You're not a play safety. Play safety. You got beat. Matt, how you feeling?
Feeling good, man. I feel like if Trinidad Chambliss plays like he did against Georgia, I don't know how much that's going to matter. Man.
He's
like, he was awesome.
I don't know why. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. He's one of my favorite non-OU players that I can remember in the last 10 years. Like, he's just so fun.
He's in the college football playoff semifinals, and I'm wearing my UCO Roll Trolls hat. He played UCO last year. He played against UCO in the D2 playoff. He played against UCO in the D2 playoffs. Ferris State did win that game 70-20. So it was not very competitive against my Chos, but still, like, that's amazing. That's stuff like, again, whenever you're talking about the Heisman stuff, Tyler and I have been beating this drum for a while. Like, how is he not getting Heisman love? Because I'll never forget, after the Caleb Williams Texas game, when Kirk Herbstreit is basically just like, oh, that's your Heisman right there. Like, if he continues this on, he's your Heisman. I don't care if he didn't play the first 4 games. That's kind of how I felt about Trinidad Chambliss. Of like, yeah, it's more about like the story too. Like, he didn't start off being the starter of this team. Funny enough, Todd Lisenby told me last year he didn't even start off as the starter at Ferris State. He took over after someone else got injured at Ferris State. And so now he's like, what's a better story than that? Like, I mean, I don't know. And plus, I mean, the only game they lost to was Georgia, like at Georgia. Like, I mean, I don't know. So, like, I don't know. And again, I have no problem with Fernando Mendoza winning it. It's just how Trinidad Chambliss didn't get like even an invite. It was kind of crazy to me.
I think it's because of this. I mean, Ole Miss, their schedule was, I mean, for an SEC schedule, pretty cake. Yeah. I mean, it's not their fault LSU sucked. I mean, they beat them when they were ranked number 4 in the country at the time.
Having to go 2 OU and 2 Georgia, like, I mean, that's
what I was gonna say. So they beat LSU, but at that point, that's where you can tell the wheels are starting to come off, and LSU was like, okay, so they're probably not like elite like people thought that they were going to be. And then it's like, well, I mean, still a great win for Ole Miss. And then they go to Georgia and they blow that lead in the 4th quarter and lose. And then it's like, yeah, you go to Norman and beat OU. But at the time, OU had, they were 2 weeks off from the Cotton Bowl disaster. And that win over OU didn't really get good until almost a month later after OU went through and beat like Tennessee, Bama, and Missouri and LSU. So it's kind of because like after OU, they played South Carolina, the Citadel, not a Citadel, but the Citadel, Florida, and 6'9", 6'12" Hayden Hansen. And then at Mississippi State. So they just didn't have any marquee games that people cared about. Yeah,
I guess you can make the case like to the one that they lost right at Georgia too. Even though it was a really fun game. I will say that my only thing on Miami, shout out to Tyler Neal and Dave Myrick on the franchise. They sort of laughed at me when I had Miami in my college football playoff and winning the ACC, but that's really just because I like the trenches for them. I mean, Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain on the defensive line. I don't know how you pronounce the guy's last name, Maagua, something like that. Francis Maagua on the offensive line. He's going to be a first-round pick on the O-line. Like, I don't know. I just like everything they had. And that was before I'd even seen Malachi Toney play, the talented true freshman at wide receiver. So I felt a little dumb for believing in a Mario Cristobal team. I don't lie. I didn't like it either to start the season, but I feel a little vindicated with that, even though I did pick Alabama to be my national title winner. So I do feel bad about that.
Did you see
and Matt McDonald, to talk real fast, picking Miami over them? The thing is, like, Trinidad is making amazing highlight plays, right? I mean, running around. Eventually, he gets sacked. Eventually, he's making a lot of off-schedule amazing plays, which are going to make a lot of highlight packages, and when they're winning, it's going to work. But I think if a defensive line gets to him, like Miami has been getting to people, I think has the opportunity to potentially snowball on them, and potentially, I don't know. That's my one reason of like, surely he can't. Maybe it's like, let's see him wiggle his way out of this one, type of a thing in my brain. So who knows?
Matt also asked me if Miami wins, does this mean Duke claims a transitive national title since they won the conference? I think you're going to see a lawsuit that you've never seen before that Duke can get into the playoff. So trust me there. But no, it will be fun to be one of just a handful of teams who have won both the football conference title and the basketball conference title. It's going to be great.
It's also really funny watching Notre Dame fans pick another team they have to complain that made it this far. Every round it's like they have to pick a different team who got blown out on that side.
Speaking of which, what you were talking about, Matt. Hey, Alan, were you old enough to understand OU played in the national championship in the Orange Bowl, and then what was that? A few months later, they played Kansas in the national championship in basketball, or was that a year later?
Okay, I'm trying to remember the timing here. I think it would have been a few months later that they played. So yes, they played Miami in the Orange Bowl, the old Orange Bowl, which was a snake pit.
Yep.
And then they played Kansas in Kemper Arena for the national championship.
I'm telling you, this sucks.
Yeah, and man, little Alan cried his eyes out that night, man, watching that team. Danny, man, I was like, this isn't fair. We've already beat them like 3 times. Like, why are we going to do this again?
It's amazing to just how big of a football school OU is. Obviously, blue blood, and you can invoke so many names, right? A Vince Young, right? The Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. But I think the most visceral reaction you can get is when you say Danny Manning's name.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever you're talking about a basketball player, brings out maybe the most visceral reaction from OU fans across any sport.
I hated him because he was so freaking good.
Yeah.
God.
I've watched that game on YouTube, and yeah, if I would have been a teenager or an adult watching that game, oh my God, this is not indicative of what's gone on this entire year.
Yeah,
this is bullshit. 7-game series, damn it. Yeah, I should have mentioned the Kansas game in all my articles on Sooners on SI about why the hosting a college football playoff was a gigantic deal for OU, because I'd mentioned Miami in the Orange Bowl, LSU in the Sugar Bowl. Hell, could have just mentioned playing Kansas in Kansas City. That's annoying.
We're here. Let's talk about the other game. You mentioned Ole Miss being the best team that you've seen. I was like, well, did you fall asleep during the murder ball of Indiana, Alabama? Was it 38-3? The Alabama Crimson Tide are dead as a program now. But to me, this is the team we should all be afraid of for the rest of this college football season.
Man, here was my take watching the Rose Bowl. OU was they could have beaten Alabama if the 3-minute 11-second nightmare did not occur. OU played, they were evenly matched to Alabama. They just had a 3-minute sequence that undermined everything, and that's fine. That happens. Alabama could have very well had the same thing happen to them. I also never really subscribed to the philosophy of, well, if you don't think your team's actually good enough to win a championship, then don't even go. Don't even go to the dance. No. Go to the dance and try to win the fucking games. After watching OU lose to shitty Iowa State teams and shitty Texas Tech teams and Boise fucking State, guys, I'm sorry. I'm kind of glad we lost to Alabama. I didn't want to lose to Indiana. They're the greatest team in college football. I just could not handle Indiana beating the living shit out of Oklahoma. I just no, I'm so glad we took that L last week.
Yeah.
It worked out for the best.
Beforehand, I was bummed. One of the things, I just wanted to watch one more OU game this season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now it's thank God that wouldn't have been the last one I would have had to watch. Good night, man.
At least we retained some honor. God damn. Yeah. It was a weird feeling as an OU fan. I'm just glad we're not there. Which, going back to the 20 minutes ago, I'm sure Texas fans at the time in 2005 were probably like, yeah, I'm glad we didn't play the USC team from last year. Yay. Is anyone ever offended when people say Oregon? Because I sure as hell am. There's no E at the end of that word. I hate when people say Oregon. But I mean, it's a rematch, Oregon, Indiana. I mean, has every rematch gone the other way than the regular season matchup so far?
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't think of any that haven't.
Were there rematches last year? I can't remember.
In the playoffs, I don't think so.
Penn State and Notre Dame didn't play. No. Okay.
No.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess going by what we've seen thus far, I guess you feel good about Oregon, but I don't really know what to make of Oregon. I know what to make of Indiana. So, I mean, Peyton, I mean, you brought up the graphics, so maybe that answers the question, but how do you feel about this one?
I mean, purely based on the game I just watched, it seems like a bunch of electricians and plumbers beating the shit out of college kids. I mean, on that side, it's going to be hard for that not to happen again. No, Kurt's getting his. I mean, Signetti is getting a glow up to a degree in which it is just an amazing right now. You know, he was talking about after winning the Big Ten championship, being like, I had to rip into these guys and keep them on notice because everyone's telling us how good we are, stuff like that. And, you know, again, big Spurs fan here. So Coach Pop would always talk about, it's like, I hate it when my team's winning because now they think they're they're invincible. Like, I need them to lose. I want them to get punched in the face. And, you know, there's probably a little bit of Signetti. He's super happy they're winning, but also a little bit being like, damn it. Now I got to figure out how to, keep them on message, keep them on going on that side of it. But no, I mean, big game landing. I don't know. I think you can. I would go for Indiana on that.
So you beat Texas Tech. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Speaking of Popovich, Peyton, did the Spurs break the Thunder?
I have no idea. I don't watch the Thunder. You have to tell me.
Did they? Because the Thunder were playing last night, and the game had been on for about an hour because it was 7:30 or 8. And I'm like, oh, let me go. I'm bored. See what the Thunder are up to. And they were down 30 to the Hornets. Shit. Yeah. No winning 75 games this season, Matt. I'm sorry.
No, I never entertained those talks either. I never entertained that.
How
do you read Oregon, Indiana, Alan?
Well, the whole man, I think Indiana. It's just one of those things. I still am having a hard time wrapping my head around. Indiana,
they don't make sense.
But they don't. But no, I mean the way that they play, I don't feel like there was anything fluky or about that first win, just based on what I watched. So I'm going to go with the Hoosiers here. I think we're going to get. I think Indiana's rolling on to the national championship game.
Yeah, Indiana played Oregon and beat the hell out of them in Autzen the day of the Texas game at the same time, and that made the day worse because I was like, as the game went along, I was like, I can't even look forward to watching Kurt Signetti go beat Oregon. It's already happened, and I had to sit through that crap, like we all did. Matt?
Yeah, I do. I think Alan kind of alluded to it. We were talking about these games yesterday, and kind of what Peyton said too, with how Kurt Signetti's I have to get these guys kind of back down to earth a little bit. But similar to what Alan said, I think maybe internally they have to do that, but I still don't think that people believe in Indiana. I still think from the outside, it's for whatever reason, they're the number one ranked team. They have the Heisman Trophy winner. They just beat the shit out of Alabama in the Rose Bowl. And it's still some people are probably still it's Indiana. they'll be Indiana at some point, right? They'll come back down to earth. Kind of like it was like last year, right? Last year it was like, oh, Indiana, this is a great story, and then they get beat by Ohio State, then they get beat by Notre Dame, and it's kind of like, oh, well, that was fun for a little bit, cool. I still think there's still some of that that rust on there from like just on people's glasses when viewing Indiana, and I think that helps them. I'm going Hoosiers, man.
We mentioned Gavin Freeman.
You're right. I mean, it's the Heisman winning quarterback, the rumored number 1 quarterback off the board to NFL draft, and everyone's like, "Look at Trinidad." It's just wild that people forget this other team, the number 1 team in the nation, is just steamrolling everyone they play.
It's gonna be sad to watch Vegas take Fernando Mendoza. They're just gonna take that sweet young man. and
is there a train museum somewhere in there?
I mean, they beat Alabama so bad that he had time to craft a speech, and then he recited the damn thing after they. Anyway, we had mentioned Gavin Freeman earlier in the show. He is now in the transfer portal. Everybody, I didn't.
Mississippi State Bulldog.
Oh no. Speaking of Vegas, Stark Vegas is lovely this time of year, Gavin Freeman. Any final thoughts, gents?
Nah, man, we hit it all.
Yeah, we hit all of it. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to the show. Shout out to the patrons. It was a fun little chat back and forth in the live stream chat box thing. Again, if you're interested in jumping on the live stream while we're recording it and laughing along with us, laughing at us, maybe, just go to patreon.com/throughthekeyhole and you can join for free for a month. You can always donate right off the bat if you'd like so, and you get free, or you get first access, you get exclusive access. Let me get it right. You get exclusive access to the live stream URL. Otherwise, you have to be like everybody else and wait for this to drop on our YouTube page if you'd rather watch it, or drop on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you want to listen to it. But again, thank you all, no matter where you're consuming it. We appreciate it. But for Matt Burton, Mr. Peyton Guthrie, Mr. Alan Kenny, myself, Brady Trantham, thank you, everybody. Until next time, Boomer.
Sutter.
I got to hit the button.